Okay, cool. Yep.
All right. I'm getting ready to go live in 37, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds.
Yeah. I think my jacket got something covered. I'm not sure. You want to actually do that? Who's this out front? You expecting somebody to White House?
Tell them I'm on this podcast, so I can't talk.
Three, 2, 1. Bam. All right. Welcome to the best podcast across the world. It is the legendary Black Super Friends podcast coming back for one special edition. Hey, I actually got some technical difficulty behind the scenes, but you will never know. First off, before I go into this show, I want to introduce you. Let me see. So we're 3/4 of the Black Super Friends podcast tonight. So the boys that I want to introduce you tonight. First, I'm going to my main man residing out of the ATL in Palm Beach, Florida, dual residence. You would know him tonight as the biggest Dallas Cowboys fan in America, Super Mario Sr.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure to be back. To take some time out. This is a worthy cause for me to come back, so I'm happy to be here tonight.
All right. Next, I'm going to the man who just got ordained just a few weeks ago. I was there. They tried to do a collection, but I want to talk about that later. His name is now Deacon Mac.
Happening, fellas. Happening, audience. I'm glad to be back. I know you guys have missed this, and this should be interesting.
Okay, it definitely should. And next, because I can't see my own monitor, I want to introduce you to someone who I have great respect for. That's why I did this edition. This man is someone who has been a community advocate for over 30 years. He's an attorney in West Palm Beach, but I would like to tell you that right now he's running for political office in Palm Beach County, District 7, and he came today to let everyone know what his plans are, and he wants to tell you why he's running for office. And he's been overdue for a visit anyway. So we're going to talk about his campaign. We're going to talk about his career, and we're going to let you ask some questions to the attorney, Richard A. Ryles.
Hey, thank you so much for having me tonight.
All right. Well, listen, I've seen a couple podcast interviews that you've done, and I say, you know what? Let's make sure we get you into the studio. We definitely don't do it for everyone, but I will be quick to tell anyone that when I was getting into politics, the person who called me for no reason, he didn't have to call me. One of the men that mentored me set me down on the couch and said, hey, listen, little Thundercat, let me talk to you and give you some perspective on, your approach. He said, I see your passion. I see, what you want to see achieved in communities, but just listen to me and, take some counseling on this journey. And I appreciate you for that. So that's why you will always get my biggest salute, for what you do for so many of us in this community. And I don't know if somebody did that for you before, but
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I was very fortunate to sit at the knee of both Marion Barry and Coleman Young and their proteges and the people who helped them gain the office and maintain those offices. And I thought it robbery not when I see a young person who wants to get involved in politics to share those war stories and help them not have to jump some of the hurdles and pitfalls that I experienced through my political journey. And so I saw something in you, brother, and I wanted to make sure that I imparted whatever little bit of wisdom I had to you.
Okay. Well, that kind of answers my question I was about to go to now, because I don't see it so often. I know in the early days, you would have someone in office who would kind of polish up their potential replacements somebody who could come in, and even if it was somebody that knew the history of an area, how important is mentorship and on the job in the community? How big is mentorship period for us in Palm Beach County?
I think it's imperative. We as Black men don't get enough mentors. And in Palm Beach County, understanding the history and the shoulders on which we stand would help quite a few of us that are interested in politics not make some of the main mistakes that we tend to make. It's almost like we're running on a treadmill here in Palm Beach County. In fact, we might be on a backwards treadmill. You know, I took my wife to Houston about 2 months ago to see Uncle Charlie, and Mr. Kinsey, Bernard Kinsey, gave me a call because he has his art exhibit there in Houston at the Holocaust Museum, and he said, "Well, man, if you go to Houston, you got to eat here." And he gave me the name of this restaurant, and he's saying it's Black owned. And so the wife and I went to the restaurant, and they had white tablecloths and china, and you know, they had those kind of glasses that clink clink when you touch them, and they had forks and knives. And it wasn't until I was leaving the restaurant that I started thinking about home and started realizing that we only have about 3 Black-owned restaurants that you don't have to leave out the restaurant with a styrofoam container. That's
Oh,
Big Mike's Place at Majestic. That's Big John's Place out there on Lantana Road, on Southern and out west. And I was told, I ain't been there yet. I was told that there's a Jamaican establishment in Boca that is a fine dining kind of place. And to say that in 2024, Black folks have to leave the restaurants with a styrofoam container more often than we can sit down and have a meal says a little bit about our progress over the last 34 years. And I'm ashamed to say that the shoulders that you all are standing on haven't really done the job necessary for you all to be able to leap and jump to new heights. You're starting off damn near at zero.
all right. One more question before I get to my brothers. Palm Beach County District 7. Explain that to people, because you know we throw our districts around. What is District 7 in Palm Beach County, and why is it so important in this election?
Historically speaking, District 7 was created as a result of Black disenfranchisement. It was a gerrymandered district that runs from North Lake and Lake Park all the way to Linton Boulevard and Delray, for the most part, east of 95 to the intercoastal. It does include from North Lake to Okeechobee Boulevard, Haverhill, and it includes Westgate, stops at Belvedere, and picks back up in Lake Worth, about 2 or 3 streets in Lake Worth, and goes all the way to Linton Boulevard and Delray. So it does encompass most of the Black community. At one time, it included Belglade, but it no longer includes Belglade, but it includes 90% of the African American community. It's about 65, 35 African American to white. So it is the Black district.
Okay, Mario.
First of all, I want to say I definitely agree. As somebody who stays in Atlanta and in Palm Beach, I often tell Horace that, sometimes it saddens me when I come home that I don't get the same effect growing up and living and being born in a city that's, I seen predominantly Black leaders all my life with an oceanfront view. And
Right.
as I travel around the world, I tell everybody how magnificent my hometown is. And when they always ask me, where can I go? I kind of run into a roadblock of places to, like you said, that you wouldn't go out smelling like smoke. And I'm not talking about cigars, or you wouldn't have to, leave with a styrofoam container, as you said. So I'm happy that that's in your your vision and in your view right now, because as I bring my wife, who's originally from Georgia, home, she's, enamored by the palm trees and the beach, but then we always run into a pitfall that we have to go to Fort Lauderdale or even the Palm Beach Gardens just to eat, to be
Right.
around, because as you know, in Atlanta, it's that on every corner in every city,
Right.
it's one
Right.
of that. So I'm happy that I just want to start by saying I'm happy that you are definitely, looking into that, because that'll
Yeah.
help me and my family personally.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I,
go
I
ahead.
I had a couple questions, so I wanted to kind of ask my questions off of people who didn't. I'm glad Horace asked about what is District 7, because there's a lot of people I talk to, especially I'm 40, so a lot of people you would even think they would know, but they still don't really understand politics like that. And a lot of times when we having these conversations, we're kind of speaking over their head.
Okay.
So just to get down to the nitty gritty, I just want to know a couple of my questions. I want you to kind of answer them in layman's terms, so that when
Okay.
people in our audience look back at this, they can actually understand why they're voting for you and how impactful you are, and not just because Mario, Zay, or Horace endorsed you, but because, or Doug or anybody else. It's because that you actually do, for any other words, give a damn, and you
Right.
actually see a way forward. So I guess my first question would be how would Palm Beach District 7 look different day one for you?
That's good. That's a very good question. For me, the value of this position is in the voice. Unfortunately, we have not had enough people who are honest and forthright about the condition of Black people here in Palm Beach County. And I think that Black people are title centric. And what I mean by that is that they'll listen to a Negro with a title before they'll listen to somebody speaking good common sense. And so I think that the title will provide me an opportunity to bring a little bit more leadership to some of the groups that should be leading that aren't. We need good leadership in our pastoral community. We need good leadership in our Panhellenic communities, because they have the ability to change the dynamic within Palm Beach County. And right now, they are not working at their utmost, highest, and best use, in my opinion. And so we likewise need to bridge the divisions that we have ethnically. When people hear me say that I am a Pan Africanist, and I mean that in the Marcus Garvey sense, what I mean is African Americans, Hispanic, Afro Hispanics, our Haitian, our Caribbean people all need to be working in concert. When we look at the Haitian Revolution, for instance, the Haitian Revolution is probably the best example of Pan Africanism that I can give you. And you said break it down and make it simple. Well, during the Haitian Revolution started in 1791, and it was the largest sugar plantation on planet Earth, sugar and tea and coffee. A- But because they had to replenish the slaves every 5 to 7 years, most women never ever reached their menstrual cycle in Haiti. And so they would have to bring new enslaved people in every month. And they would bring them from different tribes. And so the people didn't speak the same language. Most of them didn't worship the same God or worship the same religion, but they were able to put all of those things behind them in order to achieve freedom. And we, as Black Americans and Black people here in America, don't seem to be able to put aside petty differences like I went to Howard and you went to Morehouse, or I went to Gardens and you went to Suncoast. And we have to put those kind of petty differences aside, because if you look around, they're going to gentrify us, or they are going to take our communities and neighborhoods before we even turn around. Uh, from what I understand, I live over here in the Westwood. Well, they almost done got the northwest area of West Palm Beach, and from what I hear, they about to take Monroe Heights. So the Set community in Delray is probably the most well organized group of Black people I have seen. And I intend, as the next county commissioner, to emulate what they are doing in order to preserve what little bit we got left. And if we don't organize, we're going to be living in Canal Point, Pahokee, Belglade, or further west. That's what happened in Miami.
Yeah.
The historic Black community, generally Black folks live between the railroad tracks, either the FEC or the other line, all the way down to Miami. Well, when they built the American Airlines, the original American Airlines arena, they displaced the Black people west of the Turnpike into Carroll City or Miami Gardens now. And if we aren't careful, that's what's going to happen to us. And we got to organize, and we have to have a person who will speak truth to power and speak to the folks who trying to take what we got and their Black collaborators, because they're not able to do it if Black people don't help them, who are coming acting as friends, but really are working against our best interests. And the reason they're fighting so hard against me is because I speak the truth. I did it in West Palm Beach. I'll do it in District 7.
Yeah, that's. I'm glad you spoke to the ending part of that because kind of runs me into my next question before I let Deacon Matt go. Nowadays, I
Y'all
see a
calling
lot
him
of the
Deacon Mike already, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
D-Mac for short,
All right. Go
yeah.
ahead.
A lot of days right now we see a lot of people. It's on the rise in our youth is entrepreneurship, right? We see a lot of people who want to get out the rigmarole of being at a job for 40 years and waiting around for their pension and everything like that. So you see a lot of us, especially in the minority community, we'll start a business. We'll start that business, hit the ground running, and most of us will be misguided and expect as soon as we start a business that everybody we know is supposed to just support us. And then since we don't have the proper teaching, the proper leadership, as you spoke to, or the proper, I would say, connections in the community, we run flat. And then we go
Right.
back to the job with a defeated spirit. So in
Mhm.
Palm Beach County, I see so many of my brothers who I went to school with, who I had chance of going, who got businesses right now, and they just can't get over the hump. So I just want to know, do you have any plan or anything in your agenda that's going to help minority businesses kind of get that flame back and then start to get to that next level? Because I see, as I do my research on you, you have done it for over 30 years. So I know the
Right.
jewels that you have and the connections you have will be definitely needed in Palm Beach County. So I just want you to speak to the audience and tell them, what do you plan to do for the minority businesses to help them, almost be able to be in a position to buy property in Palm Beach County and save our city, save our county?
Well, that's a twofold question. Uh, we do have to start practicing collective economics. And collective economics means doing business with one another. Um, I'll tell you, I, in this campaign, have learned so much about how far we have to go. Um, I've gone to a couple of Haitian churches, which are double the size of our traditional African American churches. There's a Haitian church in Lake Worth on Avenue N, Pastor Anyo. They have about 700 members of their church faithfully attending. And I don't know a Black church in Palm Beach County that is competitive in terms of size and or attendance. So, so in terms of us getting our fair share, we do need to do a little bit better job of collective economics, taking care of one another. And that's a mindset. And that's a mindset that our West Indian brothers have that we need to try and emulate more. And if we start working closer together, we'll pick up some of their traits and some of their things that just come naturally. If you go to a public store and a Haitian person is the manager, you can rest assured you're gonna see some Haitian folks working up in that store. And so we got to do a better job of taking care of our own. I gave a speech at Pastor Anyo's church, and I talked about my work in the Haitian community for the last 30 years. I've been to Haiti over 30 times. I've been there after Hurricane Wilma, after the earthquake. I was at one time the vice president of the Haitian American Community Center, and I'm not Haitian. I'm born and raised Palm Beach County. My mother's African American, my father's African American. But I fell in love with Haiti because of the freedom I felt when there, a country that is run by Black people. Now, certainly right now they have enough problems for all of the world, but there's a reason for that. Being the first Black nation to rid itself of slavery, having fought off the British, the Spanish, the Portuguese, um, the Dutch, the Polish, the Germans, America. It has been the thorn in the side of all the European colonial powers. And so, what my plan? You asked me what my plan is for Palm Beach County. Black Palm Beach County is to get our fair share. They are trying to create a Wall Street South, and that's not what that does not include us in the equation. And what I intend to do is to make we've passed a disparity study which showed that Black folks were getting less than 0.008% of the billions of dollars that the county spends annually. And I intend to hold the county accountable to that disparity study and the NWBE program that was created. Sadly, uh, no no one has kept their eye on the ball to make sure that the various organizations within the county, the the sports authority, the sports commission, the business development board, nobody's made sure that they likewise do what the ordinance requires as it relates to doing business with Black folks. And so I would be a voice to make sure that not only do the auxiliary agencies within the county do business with the county, but I'd make sure that the county is keeping better tabs on their own NWE program, and that they do business as they are required to do it based on the rules that they set themselves in place, because they haven't been following through on that. Um, they haven't been following through on what they set for themselves.
Like it's almost like a check and balances system that you have to kind of just double check the work that they're doing to ensure that we're getting our fair share.
Right.
Um, One of the things again, like they said, Mr. Rob's known you over 30 years. Some of the things that I do like is when we did get started, myself and Douglas, and we did our entrepreneurial camp, some of the things that you spoke to Horace about in the beginning is the leadership and mentorship. You know, we did a mentorship program showing young men that it's not just about college. You can get into trade work or anything that is positive inside of your community so that you can give back. And one of the speeches that actually stood out to me was when you had the handful of boys that we had in your boardroom and you asked them how many of them would be first time college attendees and their family. I don't know if you remember that conversation that you had with
Hmm.
them. And outside of the standout football players that we had, a lot of individuals said business, and then a few said doctors and lawyers. And you gave them a very good nugget, which was unless you are looking to do doctor, lawyer, the debt that's going to be incurred by the school, you're not even going to be able to pay for it with the business degree that you got because you don't even need a business degree to do business. So, as that goes back to what Mario was talking about, which is the mom and pop shops, or, you know, as COVID has branded us, the entrepreneurs who have emerged, and you talking about the MBE, which kind of like is the money source for those individuals who would be looking for funding and grants, and you saying that they're not, excuse me, you're making sure that they're getting that out to the individuals who actually need it, and that it's policed so that it can actually impact our environment or our neighborhoods where we come from. I like those things. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I think you probably hit on it because these guys did a good job of asking questions. What would be some of your first orders of business to ensure that we are getting that fair share that you spoke about? And then next, how, with your strengths, because again, like I said, I know about the Pan-Africanism and how much you care, the love that you have for the Black community, which you feel like is underserviced. Um, how would you, with your experience, be able to help us and get that going for us?
Well, first of all, we would have to do an audit of the county to make sure that they are following their own MWBE ordinance. That would be step one, is
Mhm.
to audit the county and its departments, as well as the mind is a funny thing. It keeps slipping. The sports authority, the sports commission, the various commissions that we have, auditing them on their purchasing. So purchasing has to be audited in order for us to know how much is going out and how much is going to us.
Mhm.
But what hurts Black businesses for the most part is capitalization. We don't get the sweetheart loans.
Right.
My opponent has talked about the fact that I defaulted. He tried to say I defaulted on a Black, uh, the Black business, the BBIC.
Hmm.
Well, first of all, the BBIC doesn't loan money. The
Right.
BBIC underwrites money. All right, they act as a guarantor, and sadly, the BBIC historically has underwritten. I won't use the word that I use amongst friends, but they underwrite inward loans.
Hmm.
So an inward loan is a loan which is overcapitalized or over uh, where you have had to pledge your mama's mama, your house, your children, your cars, your furniture, and every other aspect of any kind of property you own. You have provided them more security than they've given you. So let's assume they give you $100, they want $500 in security from you. That's the kind of loans that we generally get.
Right.
And so I got, as a lawyer, the bank that they had me with got bought by another bank, and they tried to change the interest rate, and so I got into a lawsuit with them, and so my opponent has tried to capitalize on that and say that I somehow cheated the bank, the bank. If he would go to the courthouse, he'll see I paid them every dime that they were due. Okay, and
Hmm.
we resolved that lawsuit. But sometimes you got to fight. Sometimes you can't let them take advantage of you,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm
Which is,
known for.
I was
Is
about to
is
say,
fight.
that's one of your strengths.
Is
Uh,
I fight. I'm not gonna just take what you done already had me secure my house, had me secure all my cars, all my equipment, my office building, everything, in order to get this little loan of a line of credit. And that's what happens to so many of our people, is that we have to over secure the loans, and then you got to have A1, 800 plus credit score. And so then when it comes time, you have a slow period, then they want to foreclose. They don't want to give you the grace. And and uh and we get foreclosed on at a much higher rate than people that don't look like us. And even with a guarantor on the loan, they still trying to take everything you got. And so I would make sure that we get much fairer terms with our loans that we get. And if the BBIC is the institution, I would make sure and start having discussions with them on, hey, you got to stop requiring black entrepreneurs to put up all of the security that other folks don't have to put up. Uh, I know some white businesses get signature loans on the verbal guarantee of friends, whereas we have to give it all up. We got to bring mama in. I mean, hell, they even do it to us on cars. They want you to put your mama on the car, you on the car. They over secured and they do that to us, and that's a part of the American system that I'm fighting against. We are still redlining. There's still redlining in Palm Beach County in 2024, and I'll tell you how. Coleman Park, the CRA, which I say means come remove Africans. It don't mean Community Revitalization Act or Community Revitalization Agency. It means come remove Africans. And they're using what was created to uh, prevent or to stop or to put an end to slum and blight. But what it has become is a mechanism to displace black people with rich and white. That's what the CRA in all throughout District 7 is. If you go look at the CRA areas, you will find that they are displacing us with homes and or apartment buildings that we can't afford. And now that the state has taken away rent control, what starts out as an affordable apartment quickly becomes a market rent apartment. And there we go. We gone. So in Palm Beach County, right now, the CRA goes from all of downtown is in the CRA. Now, I haven't remembered slum and blight in downtown since the 90s, but it's in the CRA. And what that means is they get to keep all their TIF dollars, which are tax incremental financing dollars. They get to keep all the tax dollars from downtown in downtown. All right. Now that would be great for us if we got to keep all of our tax dollars for us. From Banyan to 15th Street, that's the CRA. From 15th Street to 25th Street, that's no man's land. They're not in the CRA. Coleman Park is not in the CRA. I helped create the Coleman Park Neighborhood Association to get us in the CRA under Ike Robinson. I tried to get Ike Robinson to do two things: do a moratorium on liquor stores and convenience stores between 15th and 25th, because we saw during that period of time all the crime generated from either one of those two kind of businesses. Because you had people standing out in front of the convenience stores and the liquor stores, and he couldn't do it. I also asked him to help us get into the CRA. Now, the county is willing to bring us into the CRA, yet the city commissioner who is currently there, Kathleen Ward, has fought tooth and nail to keep us out. So what they are doing, you all are too young to remember, but City Place used to be a black area.
Yeah, we know that.
And when they decided that they were going to give it to a developer, they slowly but surely it became crack heaven, and the police rarely went around there. And slowly but surely, the building started getting boarded up, and then boom, one developer has has acquired a nice big plot and plat of land. That's what they're doing in Coleman Park right now. Is that if you look down Coleman Park, there are no businesses anymore. except for there's one restaurant and restaurant / convenience store. That's the last business in Coleman Park. And so if you don't have someone who understands the game and has a historical perspective of how they are operating, then it's very difficult to legislate in such a way to protect your people. And I don't think my opponent has that. But lastly, I'll say that, uh, for instance, in the Coleman Park area, uh, they don't really have any people fighting for them. Nobody. And I heard last week from the lawyer who is representing the group that's trying to that won the bid for the sunset, that there have been 700 foreclosures of lots and homes in the Northwest area over the last 3 years. So the likelihood is we've already lost the Northwest.
Yeah.
But we
So,
can make it more difficult for them to take it from us.
question
And that's
for
what
you.
my job would be.
No, one last question for you, because I'm in the religious sect. So
Okay.
you were talking about the religious leaders because you know that they're close ties with the community.
Right.
How would you say would be a good way to galvanize those guys? Because it's a lot of churches in our district. How do we galvanize them to get them together? What do you?
Cooperative economics. I went when I first decided I was going to run, and I counted the number of churches between Banyan and 25th Street, and there were 22 churches, and none of them had um, a ministry that operated daily,
Okay.
which is sad because there's a great need. TAB does have the clinic, which is run by FAU in the UB Kinsey Center across the street. But other than that, there's not one that has a daily homeless feeding program. There's not one that has a daily mental health program. You know, they closed mental health center a couple years ago. There's not one that has a daily aftercare or daycare program, or after, hell, the Black Panthers told us how to operate a breakfast program for our children. That's how WIC got started. I bet y'all didn't even know that. But
Yeah, we did.
WIC was started by the Black Panther Party.
Today years old.
The breakfast program was something that they started. They don't get credit for it, but they are the ones who started it. And so cooperative economics says that, okay, I got a nice kitchen in my church, and I got plenty of space for daycare in my church. You know, I saw it as an opportunity when the governor said that they weren't going to teach AP Black History. I didn't want white folks teaching me Black history no more anyway. They still
Amen.
talking about Columbus discovered America, and Columbus never stepped foot on America. He was in Haiti and in the Bahamas. Never been to America. And so I don't want anybody teaching me a false history. Like George Washington was a good guy. George Washington owned 300 slaves and he was a crook. Did y'all know that, the capital used to be in Pennsylvania? And if you were in Pennsylvania for more than 30 days, you became free. So when George Washington would come down to Philadelphia to go do his work as a senator, he would bring his slaves and he'd make them leave 29 days after they got there so that they couldn't be free.
Father of our country, they say.
Father of our country.
They
Chop
say.
down the cherry tree.
All right, Mr. Ryles.
Yeah.
Mario had a question because I dang sure got two before we close out.
Okay.
You go on first, Mario?
Yeah, this is my last question. I want because most of the other ones you actually spoke to. I seen in your agenda you spoke about a livable wage. So I wanted you to explain to everybody, what do you consider a livable wage, and how do you expect to obtain that and stay within that comfort zone, and that, to budget us to get us in that pocket of being able to be secure in that livable wage. And my last question, this is a two-part question, and this is the little gloves off question, so you can answer this at the end.
Okay.
In doing my research, I want to know, other than you being this astronomically great man and putting in this work, I want to know, if I don't know you and I don't know nobody else and I just moved to Palm Beach, why would I vote for you over Bobby? Because I'm looking at both of y'all records and not really knowing the backstory. I just want you to speak to the people and tell them, why would I vote for you over Bobby?
Okay. Well, a livable wage is determined. I'll use MIT's determination of a livable wage. A livable wage means that you can make, based on the average housing costs, electricity, food. They made an assessment. Livable wage for a single adult, no children, is $23 an hour. Livable wage for a single adult with a child is between $36 and $39 an hour in Palm Beach County. That's MIT, and I think they probably pretty good at that. They find money for everything else, so I'm not really concerned with it causing financial difficulties, because if you can't pay your people a livable wage, you probably ought not be in business. Um, so the county's minimum wage is $15 an hour. Well, the governor has taken that away, and the state minimum wage is $11 an hour. So a contractor that does business with the county doesn't have to pay even $15 an hour. They can pay him $11 an hour if they get the contract. So I think that in Palm Beach County, uh, we don't have to necessarily do business with people who don't pay livable wages. And the county needs to raise the rate of pay so that the county employees are paid a livable wage. I mean, if the median price of a house in Palm Beach County is $650,000, I'm going to give you I'm going to just digress just really quick. There's a great book called Black AF History, the Unwhitewashed History of America by Michael Harriot. Everybody should read it. And it talks about how after the Civil War, General Sherman went to 20 black pastors and asked them, what will it take to make it in America? And this is where 40 acres and a mule came about. What they said they needed to make it in America was land, uh, education, and the vote. If you can't buy a house, the very first thing necessary for you to have generational wealth is gone. And so all you become is a part of the working class, the working lower class here in Palm Beach County. If you can't buy a house, that's the first place that you could, if you got a house, you can get that loan that they want to oversecure. You can send your children to college without them having to get a bunch of college debt. So paying a livable wage is just is really, that's a no-brainer that we have to accept, and business community has to accept it if they want to move here. I think ultimately that it will help slow down some of the development so that we don't lose everything. The second part of your question, why am I better than Bobby? I study, I read, I can give you I look at the complex issues that we are facing from multiple. I look at the long term, far reaching uh, consequences of the decisions that I make. I'll give you, for instance, my opponent voted for the bill that allows first responders to arrest you if you are closer than 25 feet filming them. They say it's harassing the first responders. Well, within that group are police officers. So you know who they are going to enforce that 25-foot rule. But just think if that had been enforced with George Floyd, or what if it had been enforced with that young man where they took the police dog and put it in the car while he's handcuffed and put the dog on it in Belgrade not too long ago. Now that's the kind of law he passed. But what he did it really kind of cowardly, because he waited until the vote was made. And then after it was made, then he voted to say he voted. He likewise voted he voted against, but after the vote had been made, to take death penalty juries from 12 to 8. Now I ask you, I don't think you got to be a brain surgeon, a lawyer, or have done much research. Who you think gets put on death row more often than anybody else? People that look like me and you and him, or other folks? So those kind of boneheaded, short-sighted decisions are one or two of the reasons why I believe I'm a better person. But I think, given the fact that the governor has taken this assault on home rule and wants to legislate from Tallahassee everything that goes on here locally, it's going to take a creative mind and someone who does their research in order to get around some of these laws and rules that are currently in place, like affordable housing. If you don't have rent control, well, how do you have affordable housing for long? You've given, his mentor supported a housing bill, a $200 billion housing bond for affordable housing, and told everybody that you all were going to get some affordable housing. When the reality is, the bond wasn't for the guy who's trying to go get him an apartment, or the woman who's trying to go get him an apartment. The money was for the developer to have a subsidy so he didn't have to put as much of his cash into the deal. And we're 20,000 units short, and the bond comes due January 1st, 2025. So in about, what's this? This is July, August, September, October, November, December. About 5 months, we are gonna start paying on a bond and don't have the housing. And guess what? We ain't gonna be living in the housing, but we gonna be paying for it. So it's a regressive tax that poor people are gonna be paying for affordable housing they ain't gonna never ever get to live in. That's the kind of leadership that we have had in Palm Beach County in the last 30 years that I have lived here. Matter of fact, let me take it back. In the last 61, soon to be 62 years I have lived here.
Man. Okay. Mr. Ryles.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Ryles.
Yes, sir.
All right. We got somebody snuck in the back door. I'm gonna bring him in once he cut his camera on. But let me say this to you. So you know, everybody else know I'm on the other side of the table, right? But here's what's interesting. Only one of our colleagues know this. We have a mutual colleague that know years ago I fought because I stayed in Atlanta for a while. And once I went to Atlanta and seen how Atlanta worked and how it moved and how when I got that day one, how, man, I seen the money train everywhere. Now, I don't want to give him credit, but Mike Carter was telling me about, Atlanta. I learned a lot about Atlanta. Even though I was there, once he told me, I just looked into so much stuff. And man, I got there and seen it just changed me forever. Came back here with a plan for a black bank that was going to come from Atlanta to Palm Beach and set up a satellite. I went to various pastors in our community and I explained it, said, hey, y'all putting X amount of money into these banks every week. Even went to a city official. Y'all putting this money in these banks and we can't even get loans. We can't even get nothing. All the money that you put in your bank, I have someone that's saying they promise to create equity for some of the people in our community to get small business loans and home loans. And, some of them pastors pretty much told me to get the heck out of the church. But I said that to say this. We have one problem in our community. We like to push people out there to be for us, lead us. When I first got in politics, I went to a school board meeting, and I was going on behalf of us, and you can't get us to come to these meetings. So I say that after you get elected, we have to really be, I ain't say strategic. We really have to not take our foot off the gas. A lot of us aren't in the room. We'll share a Facebook post or we'll make comments. Oh, I'm mad. Oh, that's messed up. We don't go to no school board meetings. We don't sit on the at the school, sit on the PTA meetings. We don't go to the council meetings. We're watching. We be outraged. But it's a time that we need to get more involved. Well, they need to vote, but you're not in the room when these decisions are being made. And I don't know how to convey that anymore than like offending some of us sometime, to be like, man, y'all not in the room. And I swear, if you was in some of the meetings I'm in, bruh, you know, you can say what you want about me, but I'm in some of the rooms that I'm like, bro, it's getting dire out here.
Horace, that's one of the biggest issues that I think when I talk about those 20 pastors after slavery, is that we have to start looking at the vote as a two-part process.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the election and voting in that person we want to serve us is part one.
Mm-hmm.
Part two, I want you to think about it like this. When you vote somebody in the office, who do they work for?
You, the people.
The people, right? Now all y'all got jobs or have worked on jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
How many jobs y'all worked on where the boss never show up and check on what you're doing? Never give you any instructions. Never hold you accountable. Never tell you're doing a good job or doing a bad job. Just let you do your thing. And so we need to start looking at the elected just like you would an employee, because you are the boss. And unfortunately, we got this whole thing twisted where we start looking at the employee like they the boss, like they are the one to be up on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to change that dynamic. And that really is about a servant leader empowering the people to believe that their voice matters. You know, leadership that ignores the mandate of the people, in my opinion, creates this apathy that we now see. Leadership that is responsive to the people gets more participation out of its people. And that's what I intend to be. Is that, I intend to create elders tables. And I see Doug is on here. I took Doug down to the elders table and they meet every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And City Commissioner Angela Burns is there, the code person, whoever they summon to the meeting, that there's an issue in the community that they need addressed comes. And that's what we need to have in the South. That's what we need to have in the North. And that's what we need to have in the central part of the county, is an elders table that brings people in and is responsive. And I'll tell you what else. When there is an issue at City Hall, they put on their yellow shirts. Their yellow shirts say, "We are not ordinary Negroes." And 50 to 60 of them show up at that City Hall, the same way white folks do it in their communities. And that's the only way things will change. And that's the only way you'll get responsive leadership.
All right. Listen. Yeah, I told you somebody snuck in here.
I see.
But yeah, I'm not even gonna give him no jokes today because I told him earlier what attire to wear, so he's being comical by being just Doug Lawson,
Yeah.
even though 85 South Show say he's Doug Lawson, District 5.
Hey, this show obviously we got the jokes tonight, Horace, but I ain't put my jacket on. I was gonna let you rock it tonight, so it's all right. I'm gonna let you enjoy it. But brothers, I'm only here because I couldn't sit back after I saw this show. I was excited. Because one of the things Towns led off with is that Richard Ryles sat him down when he was first engaged in politics and told him the way, guided him, showed him the ropes. That's the same thing he did for me. 6 years later, I've been serving as an elected official, two terms as the board chair, and I'm able to serve my community. I think I'm doing a damn good job. So I'm just Doug Lawson today because I'm here supporting my brother who needs the support, because he just gave us a history lesson in 30 minutes. He gave us the entire history of what our community and our culture needs. And if we don't see that, we're missing the mark. We're not seeing who actually really needs to lead this community. And this is the man that's going to help us get there to do that. The support. Ooh, boy, user error. Support. There it is. That was Horace. He cut me off.
No, it's not.
The support that we need up in District 7 that encompasses Riviera Beach, West Palm Beach, Lake Park. So the type of support we need from the county is the type of leadership that comes from this man right here that started years ago when he paved the way for men like me and Horace to be able to lead. He led us when we were kids, when me and Zay were just young men in Palm Beach County trying to make it. He showed us the way of how to actually get out of Palm Beach County, to be gainfully employed, to get an education, and to come back and serve our community, because we followed men like himself. You know what it was like coming back from college and seeing this man's name on the wall and just be like, wow, that brother right there led the way. He's the one that kind of came from where we were and is able to do that. That means we can do that. That's the accomplishments that we want. So this history lesson, I had to jump in and just kind of chime in and say, I'm giving my wholehearted support to him. So thank you, Horace, for letting me sneak in the back door.
Well,
You forgot about the commercials, Doug.
Wait a minute.
Hey,
wait a minute. I'm gonna give Doug some credit, and this is a salute to Richard Ryles, because Richard Ryles, when I first got into politics, I was John Wick at council meetings. Boy, I was at council meetings, I was at school district meetings. I probably wouldn't get employed if I was still. Back then, you couldn't tell me nothing. I ain't got to go to nobody's job. I can say what I want to say. But he taught me about fighting for seats. And to the example, before I knew Doug well, me and Doug had a sit down before he ran for office, and he sat down and said, hey, I want to pursue this seat, blah, blah, blah. How do you feel? And I said, okay, I respect it. I'll move over to another seat. It didn't work out for me, but that's just to show that me and this man can have a conversation and say, it's room. We just need to fill this table up and not be fighting and destroying each other. So I respect Ryles for his wisdom, and Doug, people don't know that about us, that, we've always, even if we don't agree on something, we know that the whole agenda is to move forward.
And with that same leadership, the only reason we have any type of affordable housing in Riviera Beach right now is because of Horace Towns, because he took that role as commissioner over at the Housing Authority. We work together to build a strong foundation as opposed to fighting each other. That's what they're making this do. My brother Mario said, well, what's the difference between you and Bobby? I agree with what Richard said wholeheartedly, but we're fighting over the same seats because they've positioned us into these narrow confines to say that you can only lead and run from these particular seats. A few in Riviera Beach, one in West Palm, one at the county. We need to go stronger and deeper and wider to make sure that we can get this done. And that's what he's doing. That's the team that we're building. Succession planning, leadership, bringing young men and grabbing them and pulling them up and saying, let's keep going together. So thank you, Ryles, for what you've done for us. I just had to salute you for that.
Thank you.
All right, any comments from my BSF Nation? If not, I'm going to give it to Richard Ryles to close it out.
Hey, I'd just like to say thank you guys for having me. I hope I didn't bore y'all to tears. And
not at all.
And we got to keep on fighting. The struggle continues, my brothers. The struggle continues.
Well, I tell you what, we have been off for a few months after 4 seasons. So I can guarantee you by the morning you'll have at least 3,000 to 5,000 views for people checking out. The comments were great. Mario, Zay, any closing comments?
I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity. We've been off, and I had a bunch of contracts, and when Horace called me about this, he understands I'm the guy who sits back and looks because I'm so passionate about Palm Beach, but at this moment I don't stay there. But a lot of my family own property there, so I'm always asking him, hey, what happened with this? I'm calling Zay, hey, what's going on? I was excited to see Doug as the chairman. I'm excited to see Ronnie as the mayor. Like, these people who I know, they're doing great things. So then, as the aura of who you are was spoken so eloquently amongst everybody. Tayson, one of my closest friends, speak highly of you. So I said, well, I got to take the time out because I want I wanted people to hear from you and be to our audience to tell them exactly who you are without actually going over their head. Because sometimes I hear you talking and a lot of people don't understand that. But today I think what you gave them is a piece of history, and they should walk away from this knowing that if they don't vote for you, then it's almost like we're leaving a piece of history behind. And we can't afford to do that in Palm Beach County. So I appreciate you taking the time out to do this for all of us and for Palm Beach County as a whole.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I must concur with that, Mr. Ryles. Like I said, I have a wonderful cast. Those guys were right on. I hope my question did not throw you off, but I did
No,
want to give you your flowers because that was a tidbit that stuck out not only to myself, but to the youngsters that still look up to myself and Doug and come to us for leadership and have questions. The same way we probably ask questions or just kind of looked at what you did and marvel. But you touched on every question that we had, which would be like some of the first things of order that you would do once you got in there. You clearly talked about that so that the person can understand. Speak to us to your strengths, which you did, and that's going to be us, the people that matter, that look like me and you. So I
right.
appreciate you for that, and also what you gave a good picture of what the foreseeable future looks like with you, with that type of power, and how you want to reach back and make them knowledgeable the same way, like I said, you did with the kids way back then, like you did with us. And we're now trying to, like you just said, pick up where you left off. And if we can get a few young guys to do the exact same thing that you poured into us, I think that'll be great. So everything rises and falls on leadership. And for me, you got mine already. So I just hope that we were able to enlighten some other people so that they will also see that you are the better choice. And we get this
Thank you.
ball rolling for Palm Beach County.
Thank you, fellas. I
All right.
appreciate
24-hour honorary member of the Black Super Friends, Doug Lawson. Did you get your closing comments?
Listen, I'm here to support my brother, man. Thank you. And thank y'all, brothers, for letting me come in for this quick second to talk to y'all. But I'm just here supporting Richard Ryles, District 7. Let's get it right. Let's get it done. August 20th, get out and vote.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Mr. Ryles, hey,
Yeah, take
like I
care.
said, thank you for the platform. And I can't say no more than thank everyone who turned out. Thank y'all.
You know what?